What's up, motherfuckers? Everybody knows that the Berlin defense is one of the best defense in the chess with black and AC4. So in this video, I'm going to show us how to beat so easy like Caruana made versus Carlsen. So if Carlsen lost in this position with black, means that the white idea was so good. So let's analyze the game. So you cannot say no, my opponent is better. No. If with the idea you can beat Carlsen. So let's see the game. Knight f6. Sorry, castle. Okay, that's the Berlin defense. C45, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, knight f6, the Berlin defense. And white have many options, but Caruana enter in the endgame. So we're going to go DLD to the Berlin endgame. So castle, knight d4, d4, knight d6, takes c5, knight f5, queen d8, and king d8. To understand more or less fast the endgame. Okay, now white advantage is that this king cannot be castled. The black king have problem, especially he have problems to connect his rooks. If black can castle in this game, black will be completely fine. Apart the pawn structure of black is a little bit worse. So black have two problems: his king and that he cannot connect his rooks, and the uh, pawn structure is a little bit worse because for example, if all the pieces are traded, white is winning in a king against king. This pawn game is winning because white have the idea of create a pass pawn in the king side, and black have so much more difficulties to create a pass pawn with this double pawn because the double pawns are fine to defend, but to create a pass pawn is so difficult. And a part of the king's endgame is winning, and knight endgames could be winning too. But okay, and you're going to think why this is a good defense for white because the bishop pair compensates so much. So the bishop pair here was the main goal of black. Apart, this pawn is more or less bad place on e4 because it's on e5 because it's of the same color of the bishop. So okay, let's see the game. Here Caruana plays h3, and here Carlsen goes with the plan of king e8 followed by h5 and bishop e7. And I like this plan. I play that with black, but I don't like the order who Magnus made here. I think that it's better to play first h5, knight c3, bishop e7, and only play king in e8 if white plays rook d1. Why? Because after rook fd1, king e8, now the rook on a1 is not good place. The problem of move king e8 so fast is that now white is able to king with the other rook to d1. For example, bishop f4, bishop e6, and the idea is that if white games with the a rook, now we can go to c8. And if white games with the other rook, now we can go to e8 here. King c8 is possible, but okay, I like king e8. The idea is that not place the king on e8, so not allow that our opponents place the rook on f1 and on d1, and we having our king on e8. If you want to put our king on e8, it's going to be fine, but we are going to obligate to white to place the rook on the f1 rook on d1, not the a1 rook. So that's why I prefer h5 here a little bit. Okay, but Carlsen goes with king e8, knight c3, h5, bishop f4. There are many games with this position, bishop e7, rook d1. Let's understand the white placement of the pieces. Just put the pieces in the center. Bishop e6, and now knight g5, attacking the bishop. Typical move. Now black should respond with rook a6, and now we're going to place all the pieces in the best position. Okay, now let's see that now white have finished his development, and let's see who is going to be the white plan. Okay, white plan is more or less clear. It's just in one day, um, push g4 and eject this knight from f5. So and okay, other plan of white could be the take on e6 followed by knight e4 or knight e4 deal is useful, but one day white should play g4 to eject the knight from f5 and try to take space with the queen side pawns, with the king side pawn. Sorry, this bishop maybe one day can be removed to push the f pawn, but in general the white plan is going to be advance this pawn, so black should make something. Let's see the different option that here black have. Magnus plays h4, who is not the best move. Here the two main moves was our rook d8, and here we can take bishop take, and here for example knight d4, knight d6, and knight d4. understand that if we trade all the pieces, the king's endgame is winning. So trade pieces more or less can benefit white if we manage to change the rest, of course. And for example, if king takes, now we can play g4. We can move here. Takes 94. There is a long line. Also, it's interesting to show us. And now the machine say that there is only a small advantage for white, but black should find many good moves. Now let's see like that where white have a pawn up, but black have this sequence attacking all the times the pawn, and the machine say that black is more or less fine here. And bishop before was the main move. Here on white have two areas. Ordinarily attack the bishop, that takes h4. The idea of h4 is of course avoid d4. Here we can play g3 and this position, or king h2 here, or we can go with g4 DLD. Interesting too. This is another option. But okay, let's analyze the game because Magnus Carlsen plays h4, who looks like a normal move because he's stopping the move g4 because he can see capture en passant. But in this exactly position doesn't work so much because just the move like Caruana may refute the move h4. Uh, One thing important, Caruana made all the best moves during the game. He made a 100% precision game. Well, in one move he made the second best move, but well, in two moves he made the second best move. But for the moment he's playing perfectly. So in the Fabiano moves, I'm not going to say all the time that's the best move. No, all the time the Caruana moves was the best. Okay, he take on e6, the typical plan that I know. Well, that I say one plan was d4 and the other is take on e6 and knight d4. So he finally take on d6, on e6, and now knight e4, c5. Good move for Fabiano c3 because the idea with c5 is just have the d4 square for the knight, and later maybe the knight can go to c6 to attack e5. So very good move for Fabi c3, stopping the pawn. And apart, if black plan can be play c4 followed by c3 to break the white pawns. So good move c3 by Fabi, stopping both two black plans. And here Carlsen makes another inaccuracy. During all the game, Carlsen made zero mistakes. He only makes inaccuracies. Okay, king e8, I cannot call about that like an inaccuracy because there are hundreds of games with this move. But it's not my favorite. H4 is the first real inaccuracy. And now came the second inaccuracy. Rook d8 here was better. He played c4. Rook d8, you can, for example, take, and d4, like I saw in many lines. But okay, Carlsen plays c4, and now very good move for Fabiano. G4, that's the only white plan. Now all the pieces are perfectly placed. Now it's time to play with the pawns. G4, just trying to create a pass pawn or trying just advance his pawn majority. This is a position where both players have majorities in his size. So black should advance his majority and white should advance his majority. That's clear. Okay, G4, it's stage b5. Now here came the first small inaccuracy of Fabiano. He played king f2 and the machine preferred king g2. But okay, this is not the end of the world to make this mistake. Okay, king f2 played by Fabiano, and now Carlsen play b4. And now, okay, Fabi have many options, like for example h4, followed by king f3, but he played rook e2, very good move, because black is coming with rook b8 and enter on the 7th rank, so he just make a prophylaxis and stop the idea. At the same time, that is placing rooks in the opposite square of his opponent bishop. Rook b8, trying to enter, and now very good move of Fabi h4. Now, like I told, this is maybe one of the most important moments in the game because before here until here, Fabi is playing perfectly, but now it's interesting to see how he developed his advantage. Of course, White wants to play h4 one day and eject this knight, but the move is g4 can give this square for the knight. So for the reason he first advanced the pawn, Magnus is trying to yes to create something in the king side, but Fabi just doesn't care about that, and he is still with his plan of h5. If rook a2, you can just simply I think play g4 and maybe while you are going to put your knight here maybe your g4, knight takes a6, and this pawn is promoting. So for that reason, Magnus came with king f8 to defend the h pawn, but now, of course, Fabi is still with his plan. G4, knight here, now improving the king. Carlsen finally takes the pawn. Now we see that black have an extra pawn, but white position is completely winning. G5, knight f5, king g4. Very, very good move. Let's see how active is the white king and how passive is the black king. And let's see the response. And black still need many tempos to create a pass pawn. Okay, he should play here, and now the a7 pawn is going to be passed, but this pawn is not never going to promote in the history. E6, play by Carlsen. And here, Caruana take on d6 and e6, who is winning. Is a good option to win. But the machine like this plan of h6, if king g8, h7, you cannot take because I double rooks in the h5 and it's checkmate. And if king h8 here, very important move, e5, e6, sorry, coming with bishop b5, taking yeah, giving check to the black king and winning the game. So that's a funny way to end the game. This a6, but h takes g6 followed by e6 was a good move. Now let's see how weak is the skin. Finally, White managed to create a pass pawn, and not this pawn is not going to promote, but he finally managed to open the black bishop, who is doing the dark square bishop. Sorry, bishop d6. Now knight f6, good move. Now the white idea with knight f6 is just came to with checkmate with rook h1 and rook h7 and rook f7. That's the white plan with knight f6. B takes here. Okay, that's a possibility, but rook h1 was fine. Bishop f4, rook h7. Knight here, he just take the rook b2, and he just take the bishop. And here Carlsen resigns. That's one of my best favorite, the one of the best game of Fabiano Caruana career. And he made in a rapid game who have more value. And apart, he made against Magnus Carlsen, who is the best player in the history. So it's so difficult to see a game of Magnus Carlsen where he lost so easy like a small kid, and not a small kid, but used to be Carlsen, the guy who won this type of games against grandmasters. But it's a completely master class about how to play the Berlin endgame. So he made against the best in the history. So I only can to Caruana, and that's very, very, very good game. I learned so much with this game, and I hope that you learn too. In this tournament, the players are playing with white and with black with the same opponents in the next round. So in the following round, it is time to Carlsen to have the white pieces. But we're going to see that Caruana with blacks goes completely crazy and destroy Carlsen in a so tactical position. In the first game of the day, he destroyed him in a positional endgame, and in the second game, he destroyed Carlsen in a tactical position. So I'm going to analyze the following round. So let's see, motherfuckers. Bye bye.